if you don't want a Trump and you don't want a Carson or possibly a Cruz to win, if he dropped out, that money would go to Marco Rubio, and Marco Rubio is doing well, especially in Iowa recently. We talked about that earlier this week. He could use that support, the campaign staff, the money. And if you want a relatively sane Republican to win, Marco Rubio is certainly better than a Carson or a Trump.
I'm telling you, man, that scares the hell out of me. I'll tell you why it scares me. Because Rubio is not going to win. He's a standard run-of-the-mill politician. He
better than Trump.
He looks like
better than Bush.
No.
As a speaker.
Well, I mean, okay, that's arguable, right? But if the establishment marshals all of their resources behind Rubio, they're going to waste their money. And why do I care that they waste their money? Good, they should. Like I don't want a Republican to win. But that means if Rubio loses, they back the wrong horse. That means a monster is going to win instead. It's going to be Trump or Cruz. Maybe, if we're lucky, Cruella will win and Fiorina will be the candidate. She's also a monster, but less monstrous than Cruz and less of a question mark than Trump.
So who do you back?
It's okay if it's okay if Ted Cruz wins. It's okay if any of the other ones win, except for Donald Trump, because I think Donald Trump could win the election. I don't think any of those other ones. Ted Cruz, no way. No, not a chance in hell.
Dude, man, I wouldn't take that bet.
So where should
I'm not
the money
saying
go?
that Cruz is going to win, right?
No way.
I'm just saying that I wouldn't count him out, and that guy is by far the most dangerous of the lot.
Yes.
Agreed.
Okay.
Yes, Ted Cruz is the most dangerous.
Right. So, okay. I mean, I think that there's an argument to be made that if they were smart, they'd back Kasich, and then they would run like a super aggressive campaign saying, results, okay? We cut taxes, we decrease unemployment, we balance the budget, right? Arguments that Kasich could make, right? And he could make the argument, hey, last time we balanced the budget in the federal government, I was pressuring Clinton to do it in the House. It's an argument he could make, right? Now, some of these arguments do have flaws, right? And I'm no fan of Kasich. But if I was the Republican establishment guys, that'd probably be the guy I'd back.
Yeah, he has a chance to pull from the center left. You know.
Yeah. And he could win a general election, so then you're happier if you're an establishment Republican.
Yeah.
I fear giving them advice, but luckily they're not watching the Young Turks, so we don't have to worry about it. But in the primaries too, remember the so-called moderates, such as they are in the Republican Party, have actually won all of the primaries. So George Bush was the compassionate conservative, right? John McCain was the moderate in 2008. Mitt Romney was the moderate in 2012. So a moderate candidate actually does, and I know it's nowhere near moderate. The right wing has become so hideous that their so-called moderates are just slightly to the right of Attila the Hun, right?
Yes.
But within that spectrum, the so-called moderates have won, and so Kasich would have a good chance if he got good backing, right? But if they back Rubio instead, they're going to back the wrong horse.
So John Boehner, you're talking about moderates, and they're not really moderates. Even the moderates aren't. That's how far right. So John Boehner is forced out as speaker because he's too moderate, right? Here's his tweet from today. Ready? That's why I'm going to read it. Speaker Boehner tweets, "Indefensible. President Obama blocks pay for our troops and gives billions to Iranian terrorists." That's the guy who's too moderate. For the Republican Congress. He just tweeted that President Obama's giving billions of money to terrorists.
Yeah, it's a fucking lie, and it's such an outrageous statement that, again...
The president is giving money to terrorists. He's a traitor, then.
Well,
Why
no,
don't
to
you
be
guys
fair,
impeach him? He's a traitor.
The moderate position is he funds terrorists. The extreme position is he is himself a terrorist.
Yeah, that's right. That's
At
right.
this point,
That's funny. That's great.
And if this were the Bush years and Alan Grayson had tweeted out Bush is funding terrorists, they would have said, "Oh, you maniac, you this and that," and they would have made every Democrat in the country apologize for having ever seen Alan Grayson. Right?
Yes, you are correct. In fact, I was watching, I don't know if you saw this clip, but when Donald Trump was saying that, hey, President Bush was president during 9/11, when the towers came down, blame him or not blame him, he was president, right? So when he said, he was responsible for 9/11, he was president, the reporter said, "You can't blame Bush for 9/11."
Yeah.
The reporter said that.
Yeah, it was Bloomberg. That's right. It wasn't even Fox News. Fox News also did the same thing, but it was a Bloomberg reporter who said, "You can't blame Bush." Like, they're unbelievable, man. Theoretically, liberal media, my ass.